Okay, so good morning, everybody. I made this video for myself, kind of. Whether God sent me here or not, I feel like this is something that I should share anyway, because this is me. So I'm really hard on myself when it comes to productivity, and I always feel like I'm not doing enough no matter what I did. And so, like, I can go back to when I first started my journey. I was about, I want to say 15, 16, and 17. Honestly, nothing changed for real, but when I first started and I first started reading the Bible, I used to have a set routine. At 3 a.m., I get up and I read my Bible for about an hour or two, and I study it. I write down what I learned, and and I got a notification, my bad. Basically, see, I should never look because now I'm distracted. Anyways, I used to read the Bible at 3 a.m. and pray for a hot minute. I had this routine that I would do every single night. And I kept up with it for I want to say about a month or a couple weeks. It was like the best discipline I've ever had. Well, I ain't gonna say that. It was like the best discipline I've had, and to be honest, it was kind of draining, and it just felt like, at the same time, I was getting to know him, and it was fun. I was learning something new every single day because it was my first time reading the Bible, and it was just so much information being received and retained, and it was getting draining. It really was. I just felt like I was forcing myself to do it. Obviously, where do you think this plan gonna come from? And I was getting bored. Like, I was like, man, I don't know. And slowly but surely, I would procrastinate until I end up not doing it. And I just felt like crap every time. Even when I was doing it, I felt like crap. Because I was just like, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. Because, obviously everything that you read doesn't always apply to you. And I will always see the parts where he was like angry with the people, and I was like, oh, he mad at me, and it was like the only thing that I was retaining whenever I read was when he was mad. So I always thought he was mad at me, even when I really wasn't doing nothing, and I just felt guilty all the time, and it just made me not want to read anymore, because every time I open up my Bible, it's something that I did wrong, something I'm not doing. And it was really hard. At the time, there would be videos show up on my For You page that would be like, it was two different crowds. One of them telling me to relax, get some rest, and stop being hard on yourself. And then the other crowd was, you need to be reading your Bible. You need to be fasting, praying. You need to stop there or you're going to hell. It was two different crowds, and me looking at it today, it all makes sense. But the one I was receiving the most, well, not receiving most, but retaining the most, was the one telling me I wasn't doing enough. And it discouraged me really, really bad. I would go months at a time, weeks without touching my Bible. All he got out of me was a prayer every one now and then. I still prayed every day, but I did not read every day. And sometimes God will be like, hey, you need to come back to me. Where you been? I need you to get in your Bible. I need you to read. I need you to pray. Like, what are you doing? And the way he would say that was, I said, for them, he was mad. But I had no other way of understanding that he was talking to me, but it don't necessarily have to be him being angry. You know, sometimes you shouldn't take things like so serious and like, what's the word, literal, because sometimes he ain't actually mad at you, he just want to talk. And at those times I was like, okay, Lord, okay. Again, one of the things that brought me to where I am today is fear. That was how I ended up converting, you know, because I was like, oh, I don't want to go to hell, I'm straight. So I was doing everything I could to please him. But I was also a people pleaser and really sensitive. If anybody said anything wrong about me, I was very upset. And I took it personal and held on to it for years, like years. And it all makes sense. I'm projecting all of my issues onto my relationship with God, and it's really bad. It really is. So, you know, I would fast, I would pray, but it ended up lasting for about a week, and then we back at square one. I'm back discouraged, back stagnant, and it was like that all over again every time. Every single time he would be like, hey, come back. Okay, Dad, praying, fasting, and I'm being lazy again. It was a cycle, an ongoing cycle. I'm wearing glasses because my hair can't stay out of my eye. That's what I get for choosing bangs. It hurts. But, so, it was years later, me being older, and it took a lot of trial and error. A lot of trial and error to realize, like, I really need him every single day. And regardless of how I feel on the inside, I need to do it anyway. And that was what started my 100. I don't even think it was supposed to be 100 days, but it ended up being 100 days. But my fast, where I stayed off of social media, everything but YouTube. YouTube was the only thing that I've been on and still now, and I prefer it that way. And I will get up. I don't give myself, okay, here's one thing about me. I cannot do a routine. I can't do something at the same time every single day. It's just not gonna work. So I was like, I'm just gonna make it my business to set time apart to talk to you, read, and just, you know, sit in silence, make it my business to do that without, you know, making myself feel bad, without telling myself, you know, talking bad, whatever. That will happen anyway, you know. Sometimes it happens anyway. But I just make the decision to not entertain it, to not care. It's just thoughts, it's just feelings. At the end of the day, I got something I need to be learning, and I'll feel better knowing that I did it regardless of how I feel, because every time I end up reading, that feeling goes away. It really do. And sometimes I don't be able to give him my all. I don't be able to give him that much time. Like yesterday and the day before yesterday, I was tired. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna last 5 minutes here. I'm gonna read a chapter, and that's about all you finna get out of me, because I'm tired, you know. And yesterday I was at work. It was one of them long days, and the house was a mess. I feel discouraged when the house ain't clean. I feel like I ain't doing my job. So it was wash day yesterday, and my hair took a nice minute to do, and I just wanted to watch my show. I sat there in bed until like 9 o'clock, and I was like, okay, Lord, I'm ready. Gave him a little bit of time, you know, and then I was like, don't worry, I got you tomorrow. I'm gonna get up bright and early to make up for my slacking. But Lord, I know you understand. I'll be that. And that's why I'm here. And then I realized, like, maybe I'm the problem, because I be way too hard on myself. Because the more you feel bad and talk bad about yourself for not being productive enough, the worse you're gonna feel. You're not gonna want to do it. And it's not that I don't want to do it. I don't want to hear me talk about myself like this. That's what discourages me. It's like, okay, those thoughts gonna come. I'm gonna start feeling guilty, and I avoid it because I don't want to hear it. But if you don't do it, you're gonna hear it anyway. At this point, pick a struggle. And yeah, sometimes you just have to do it regardless of your thoughts, because he gonna always see what's wrong with you and he gonna confront you about it, whether you know you feel that way or not. There was a lot of times where I was thinking things and was stressing about things and didn't realize it, and he called me out on it. He was like, so did you know that I know that you thinking this, or hey, you should probably stop doing that. He would just say things casually, and you like, how you know? Obviously he knows, but you wouldn't know how much he actually cared about the way you thinking and what you saying to yourself, because it matters. Not only is it power in the tongue, there's also power in your mind, because the way you think will affect how you feel, and the way you feel will affect the way you act. So just, if you can't be nice to yourself at the moment, just ignore it. And I know it's hard, but once you do it, you will feel better knowing that you overcame those thoughts, because that's one of the things I struggle with the most. I'm a chronic overthinker, overanalyzer, and I think 24/7. I hate thinking. I wish I could cut it off sometimes, but my brain is always on. When you go through your period of isolation, you realize how much that can make you think, and I'm a thinker. You hear me? That's how you hear God. If you can't be by yourself and just listen to yourself, then you ain't gonna hear him. Unless you want to go outside of yourself and hear from, and that's just gonna be miserable. Honestly, I'm not even about to lie to you. That's miserable. You don't want to do that. Everybody is capable. All you have to do is read your Bible and take in everything. This is all his words. There's so many conversations it's like infinite conversations you can have just using this. You retain everything in it. I'm not telling you to read the Bible overnight. I'm not. That's why it's supposed to be a lifestyle, everything. And once you have all the information, he's literally able to just talk to you, because everything in here is a reflection of him. You have him in your mind, locked in. And so you're going to think, you're going to know him and understand who he is. When you hear his voice, it'll sound like this. And it ain't going to sound like, hey, you ain't doing enough. Oh, you just lazy, you a slob. Okay, he is going to call you a sluggard if you a sluggard. But, it's not to insult you. It's just to be real, But if it's making you feel bad, then it ain't him, okay? And sometimes he may discipline us, but it's all for your own good. It's not to make you feel bad and be stagnant. So, for the people who are people pleasers, you might find yourself trying to please God in a way that shouldn't be, because he is not man. He's not man to make you feel like you ain't doing enough. That's just not him. He understands the way we think and how we feel, and he wants us to be comfortable, but he also don't want you to hold off on things because it make you feel better, because you got to learn. You got to hear from him. How else are you going to progress in life and, understand what he want you to do if you're not doing what you're supposed to do? So I make it my business to come up here in my office to, talk to him, because I know when I'm in bed, you ain't getting much out of me. You ain't getting much out of me, So I have to get out of my comfort zone in order to do what I need to do. Otherwise, I ain't gonna do it. So, but I've always known that about myself. Once I'm out of this bed, then you get all the productivity. So if you kind of like me, then I suggest people have prayer closets. I was never that type of person. So, just go in a different room. You can go in the living room, the kitchen. Okay, maybe not the kitchen, because I also eat. When I eat, I can't multitask when it comes to stuff like that. Yeah, if I'm eating, I'm gonna have to eat and then come back. Then I might get sleepy. So, I don't know. Don't go in the kitchen. But, you know what? You can go in the kitchen. Okay, let me tell you another thing I used to do to help me to, give God time every day. You know what? Why don't I just give y'all advice? So, one thing you can do when you're a busy person is just bring God into whatever you're doing. Like when I was living with my mama, it was my job to clean the kitchen. Basically the whole house, everything was my job. So I would just, be thinking and talking to God as I was cleaning. Like, just, I don't know, like how you would a regular person. Like, I want to go to the grocery store today. What you think? He's like, I'm gonna try to make that happen. All of a sudden, my mama like, hey, we finna go to the grocery store. Whatever. It's just something casual like that. Or like, I want to be this when I grow up. And he's like, you sure you want to be that? And, we just talking, we chilling. Or, if you want to take a walk, why not talk to him during your walk? It's just, you don't have to, be so, like, sitting down, reading, and as if you in school or something. He wants you to be comfortable. If it works, then do it. If you have to, I don't know, I really don't know. You could really be doing anything. Like, you want to do your makeup, you could be talking to him, just make time for him. That's the point. Just make time for him, okay? You don't have to, like, sit down and do it in a boring way. You don't have to do that. You don't have to. If it works, it works. Do what works for you, because you can't be taking everybody's advice and be like, okay, you need to go. Like I told you, I kind of just told you. Well, I told you to go in another room. I didn't tell you where to go. Just if it works for you. This is for the people who, like me, somebody who needs to be in another room or whatever. Just whatever, like, you think will make you be focused and not distracted. And, if you're able to be able to do two things at once without giving more attention to the other, then you can do it, You can do it, but you also should be still every once in a while. You can go to a park after your walk and just sit there and read. You can listen to the audio if you don't like to read, even though I recommend it.